This body of work is a hypothesis and theory based on syncretic research. This research is meant to unite people and open up discussions about our reality. All we ask is that you be kind to each other once you watch this and start discussing and dissecting it. We also ask and strongly encourage you and everybody to re-upload and mirror this on any and every platform. Redub it in your language, do reaction videos, make screenshots, remixes, refixes, and get this out there. One last disclaimer, some of the maps on these models and elements are not to spec, and I did them to be as visual as possible, so don't mind some of the maps being off, distorted, or totally wrong. They are meant for representation purposes only. So, grab your snacks and drinks, and get ready to have your mind blown. Let's go. Before we get into the details, it's extremely important that you have a full understanding of the construct of our geocentric electromagnetic universe. If you're not familiar with this geocentric model, we're going to leave links in the description for you to catch up on the basics. In short, we're not on a ball. Our Earth currently consists of 4 concentric rings of physical land, beginning and spiraling out from the 0-point axis at the center of the plane, just like a drop of water that falls into a larger body of water, therefore creating a ripple effect, beginning from its point of impact, concentrically expanding outwards. The very middle center of this vast earthly concentric plane is what's known as the 0-point axis. This is what we refer to as the magnetic North Pole. This central pole is not just a symbolical metaphor, but an actual physical marker said to be a magical, or should I say, magnetic pillar, sometimes referred to as a holy mountain or the tree of life. The first big red pill you're going to have to swallow is that beyond all these dimensional fields of energy from where we are now, in our northern and southern extremities, are other extraterrestrial lands inhabited by other extraterrestrial civilizations. This is what we might call extraterrestrial outer and inner space, extraterrestrial outer and inner Earth. I know, it sounds crazy, just bear with me. Each of these 4-dimensional rings of Earth have their own eco, lunar, solar systems and seasons, and their own sun and moons, which would be our current 7 wandering stars. Saturn and Jupiter being the solar sun and lunar moon of the outermost ring, domain, or realm of Earth. Mars and Venus being the solar sun and lunar moon of the next concentric domain of Earth inside that. This Mars and Venus domain would be the main realm beyond our southern Antarctic boundary and the Aurora Australis electromagnetic field. Then, of course, we have our own solar sun, Apollo, and lunar moon, Artemis, in this domain. And last but not least, Mercury within the inner central realm beyond our northern Arctic boundary and Aurora Borealis electromagnetic field. This inner star, Mercury, is androgynous, both a solar sun and lunar moon in one. It's sometimes referred to as the inner Earth sun or black sun or planet Nibiru or planet X. Now, the full expanse of our entire earthly plane with all the different realms would be what the ancient Greeks referred to as Mother Gaia, the Kemetic Egyptians called the Benben or Mother Geb, and the Indo-Vedics referred to as the Bhumandala. In this presentation, we're going to explain and show how this spiral expansion of space, time, and matter began and continues to be. Let's go. This calendar is a modern interpretation and mix of the Aztec Mayan calendar, Egyptian Dendra stone, the various Chinese and Indian Dharma wheels, as well as other ancient cosmological and universal clocks and calendars. Many ancient cultures, civilizations, mystics, and researchers have created and depicted various cosmic clocks and calendars over the ages. Some simple, others complex, but one thing is for sure. They all knew that all time operates in a cyclical pattern. They knew that everything in existence has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Birth, experience, growth, and death. Sunrise, midday, sunset, midnight. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. Iron, bronze, silver, gold. You get it. So our cosmic calendar of time is a macrocosmic and syncretic mirror reflection of those observable microcosmic clocks, calendars, cycles, and seasons of time. And as always, our research is embedded on the foundation of natural and observable everyday reality. Hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will have a better understanding of how different ages, races, civilizations, and realms have come about over time within our electromagnetic cosmic egg universe. So in order to understand our calendar better, we need to break down something known as an epoch. Our epoch here is going to be 24,000 years for one full cycle. What is the definition of an epoch? A division of time that is itself a subdivision of a larger period of time. Think of seconds to minutes to hours to days to months to years. Good examples of epochs. An epoch is also subdivided into ages corresponding to a series of chronological changes or events. An epoch can sometimes be referred to as an era, age, period, time, eon, span, stage, or point in history. Universal epochs are also sometimes referred to as a platonic year or a cosmic day. Just like a clock striking 12 and starting another cycle or day. So our epochs are 24,000 years, reflective of our natural 24-hour day and clock. 24 hours in a solar day, 24,000 years in a cosmic day. The first thing we're going to do is lay a typical 12-hour dial. We're going to follow this by also laying 12 months of the year, and follow that ring by a ring of the 12 zodiac signs matching up to each month. The next ring is going to represent our 4 seasons: autumn, winter, spring, and summer. The ring inside this one is going to represent our 24-hour clock, with 6 p.m. being represented at 12. The next ring is our meridian. We have midnight, quarter past, half past, and quarter to. And inside this ring are going to be our 4 concentric lands, eras, ages, civilizations, and solar systems. As stated, we've already had 4 epoch cycles, and we are currently a quarter past the 5th. Now, just as there are 4 earthly physical realms, there are also 4 physical humanoid root races associated with the creation of each realm. These 4 root races are the Hyperboreans, Lemurians, Atlanteans, and Aryans. But there's also a 5th race of beings that lives in the center, Mount Meru, of our Earth. This is the Master Root race, the Polarians. Unlike the other 4, the Polarians are semi-ethereal, meaning not completely physical beings. They do not have a definitive skin pigment, size, color, or race. Having said that, they are often depicted as being somewhat indigo-bluish, translucent beings. The very middle or central point of Earth is where the earth and the heavens meet, and this is where the gods live. We propose that the Polarians are able to transverse between the 2 worlds, the heavens or spiritual realms above, and earth/physical planes below. Anyway, these Polarians began the human race at pole position. They were the very first forms of earthly beings to manifest on this plane. All the other 4 root races were seeded by the Polarians, hence the term Master Race. We could also call the Polarians the Guardians of the Earth. So this first Polarian epoch, or first 24,000 years, centered around the cosmic tree of life, was regulated by the grand heavenly first and largest solar system, Neptune and Uranus, the highest and first 2 wandering stars, or sun and moon, of our universe, albeit semi-ethereal in nature. And, at the end of their epoch, the Polarians completed their first cycle or circle of cosmic time, 24,000 years of experience. This was the end of their epoch. At this point, the Polarians created their very first physical manifestation, and so the Hyperboreans realm and root race are created. A new physical paradigm emerges, unfolding out of the North Polar Center Axis, aka the very first ripple. We could also say the tree of life gave birth to its first physical fruit or seed. This process is what we might call a pole shift, the very first pole shift of our Earth. This new Hyperborean realm comes complete with its own solar system to regulate its physical space, time, and matter. The very first sun and moon are also created, Jupiter and Saturn, However, at this stage, they are androgynous. They are one. They are not separated. They only separate at the end of their epoch. This is the first domain to experience fully physical earthly space, time, and matter, all regulated by the very first earthly solar system. This Hyperborean realm that unfolded out of the center pillar was the very first Garden of Eden, surrounding the Tree of Life, or Mount Meru, at the center. Keep this in mind for the rest of the creation process. Every time a new ripple comes out, it is the new Garden of Eden. Over the next 24,000 years, during their epoch, the Hyperborean realm was gradually pushed outward away from the center as a new realm and physical root race was created. The second ripple, the Lemurian realm and root race, is seeded. A second pole shift, and again a new paradigm emerges, pushing the old Hyperborean realm outwards and away from the central pillar or Tree of Life. This is also where Saturn, aka Kronos, and Jupiter, aka Rhea, separate and start their orbit. This second realm, the Lemurians, also get their own sun and moon, which is at that point in time also androgynous, a sun and moon in one, which will in 24,000 years be known as Mars and Venus. During this epoch, the Lemurians are the Garden of Eden, and Mars and Venus, the androgynous sun and moon, regulates its cycles, seasons, and ages of this new realm and domain. Don't forget, the Lemurians were also seeded from the Polarians, the master root race, and not the Hyperboreans going inward. All races were created and seeded from the Polarians. So the Lemurian realm is the second Garden of Eden, and again, after a cyclical time, when their epoch ends, they too were pushed outward to make way for the third root race. The Atlantean realm and root race is seeded. This is pole shift number 3. Mars and Venus now separate into two and start their orbit. This new Atlantean realm, like the previous two, was seeded with its own androgynous sun and moon that will eventually turn into Apollo, our sun, and Artemis, our moon, to regulate and control the cycles, seasons, and ages of that realm. This Atlantean root race and realm is the one we currently inhabit. All human races in this realm of Earth are predominantly Atlanteans. You are an Atlantean. During this Atlantean epoch, we in this realm were the Garden of Eden at the center. And once again, over cyclical time, 24,000 years, history repeats itself. Atlantis fell, or rather sank, when the Great Deluge or Flood happened, and reset us from the center to where we currently are, also finally setting Apollo and Artemis into their orbit. And so the Aryan root race was seeded out from the fourth and most recent pole shift. This is the current Garden of Eden. And to give us a point on our timeline, this Aryan root race and realm was seeded about 6,000 years ago to join the human race. And as our fractal pattern continues, just like the realms before it, the Aryan realm was birthed with its own solar system, Mercury, its androgynous sun and moon, to regulate and control the cycles, seasons, and ages of that new domain. And so, here we are, 6,000 years into the Aryan or fifth epoch. In summary, we have 5 epochs so far. The Master Race, the Polarians. 24,000 years later, the Hyperborean realm was created. 24,000 years after that, the Lemurian realm was created. Then the Atlantean, then the Aryan. And according to many ancient scriptures, mythologies, and mystics, there are 2 more epochs to come, meaning 7 epochs, 7 earthly realms, and 7 root races. Moving on. You'll also notice in this realm of Earth we are currently in, there are 4 main races. All the other races in between are mixed races, or rather mixes of these 4 sub and root races. The black races have their DNA lineage from the very first Earth root race, the Hyperboreans. All native black cultures of this realm predominantly have their cultural beliefs and practices handed down by the Hyperborean root race, sometimes referred to as the Anunnaki. The Oriental Asian races have their DNA lineage from the second root race, the Lemurians, and likewise, the Oriental cultures stem their beliefs and practices from the Lemurian root race commonly and mistakenly referred to as the reptilians. The